Deep Dive Film School makes no claim of ownership of the film footage used in this episode. The film footage is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Also, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie, so this is your warning. Welcome to Deep Dive Film School!
Oh, this week we're going to get into the 1939 classic political film Mr. Smith Goes to Washington by Frank Capra.
I will not yield! All right, everybody, I am Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Pulcher.
And if you like what you see /here, please like and subscribe. You can find us on all the spaces and places that people what?
Find good media.
That's right, they certainly do. We are trying to build the channel. We are at a little under 950. We would love to have 1,000 subscribers. So if you like what you see or hear and you haven't subscribed, please do.
Yes, absolutely. We have all sorts of stuff to follow and different kinds of segments for you to enjoy. All right, let's get into this scene. So easily the oldest scene we've done in film history.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, we mostly do modern to, yeah,
1939.
50s,
I mean, this
60s. I guess we've done
old,
over the years. We've done a variety of things, but 1939. Beginning of World War II.
Yep.
Having a movie as politically divisive as this one is a very interesting cog in the wheel of them trying to get this movie made, because it's an easy target. Yeah. Because they're talking about how democracy should work versus how it actually works.
Yeah. What would happen if you sent an actual Boy Scout?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
to the government. Like, what would they do? And I mean, he's a Boy Scout. I mean, they didn't let him call them Boy Scouts. No. They wouldn't let him use that. So they're Boy Rangers.
No, that is his big thing in the movie is trying to get this camp built for these Boy Scouts.
But basically, like, he is a Boy Scout, and he goes and he actually goes to Washington. He is a member of Congress, and
I think this movie was supposed to originally be called like The Man from Montana or something like that.
Yeah, I think that The Gentleman from Montana was the short story, I believe.
But yeah, he's supposed to be the young, naive kid who's going to be a yes man for all of the things they want to do, and realize they're wrong, and he's not going to lie down, and he actually has some morals and principles that they were not expecting. Yeah,
he's the squeaky clean country bumpkin that, as to your point, can become a yes man, and that he really does fall for Claude Rains' character, Senator Payne. Mm-hmm. And you think about it and you just go, yeah, this idea of hearing someone tell you one thing and going, I like that guy, I believe him. And then the movie is really about him learning, like, oh, tons of these guys are corrupt. Like, they're like even though they're saying one thing to my face, they're actually like getting money on the side to do these backhanded deals. And in 1939, like, to your point, it was controversial.
Yeah, it got banned all over the world.
Yeah, which when you think about now, you're like, well, it's not. It ain't that crazy. Like, it's not. You know what I mean? Like, it's like. At
Holds
that point,
up, though, for an 83-year-old movie.
Well, at that point, we weren't talking about the fact that, like, oh, yeah, all of these guys are corrupt. All of these guys are doing that. It just wasn't a thing people talked about back then.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Like, yeah, it's an easy target, like I was saying, because they're making a stand on what this movie is about. And at that point, Hollywood was just it was like we need to satisfy the audience, not make them think, for a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's 83-year-old movie, weirdly still relevant, right? Mm-hmm. As a lot of these movies tend to be, anything about politics will endlessly be corrupt, so these movies will always have relevance, I guess.
It's true.
To some degree, right? Like there's some truth to what a lot of these people are saying.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's like American politics or politics from another country or politics from hundreds of years ago. I think that, there were just as many backhanded deals going down in like ancient Greece as there is in something like this. But I think that having like, and Capra was always good about this.
Yeah, he went on to make It's a Wonderful Life. Mm-hmm. So like if you didn't know who Frank Capra was, I think that's a good reference to like something you probably have seen.
Well, and I also think that Jimmy Stewart was always good at this. I think that Jimmy Stewart playing like, and when watching this scene, I couldn't help but think of something like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, like this idea of like a guy who's just, God damn it, trying to do the right thing.
Yeah,
and he's put into this world where like people are like, no, there's a status quo, there's a way that we do stuff. And he won't digress. He won't stop. He won't give up. And like, even though he's not the smartest guy in the room or the strongest guy in the room, he knows what's right, and he'll keep trying to do that. And it's the reason. I mean, it's also the reason why people say that Tom Hanks is like our generation's
completely
Jimmy Stewart, is because so often he plays that same everyman of just like, no, like, I realize that what I'm doing technically is against the rules, but you guys are against like the rules of like what's right and wrong, right? And like, that's always going to be impressive. That's always going to be interesting to watch. And here it's literally just the whole crescendo of this film. The last, I don't know, 15 minutes of this is just this filibuster.
I bet it's more. I bet it's longer than that. I bet it's a half an hour of this. I mean, he's talking for 25 hours straight. And people,
not in the movie, just in the reality of the movie. The movie's 28 hours long, and 25 of it is just Jimmy Stewart talking.
Reading the Bible and the Constitution.
That would not be a good movie.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. People always, think of Tom Hanks or someone like Jimmy Stewart, like, oh, I could see them read the phone book. And you're like, he actually did it here to some degree, right?
Yeah,
like, he's like, let's read the Constitution just so you guys are fresh up on your Constitution.
It's a pretty great drag for him to do that to all these guys, though.
There's a lot of scenes in this movie that we could have picked. I think what you said at the beginning is one,
earlier in his filibuster.
But that's the beginning where, he's basically, there was kind of a coup to sabotage his seat. They had he's basically holding the Senate hostage so he can give his voice about what's actually happening.
Which I love that it's like, basically what it comes down to is that Senator Payne has done this handshake deal behind closed doors to build a dam where Mr. Smith has wanted to have land set aside for the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And that's
all it is.
That's all it is. And that then they try to smear Mr. Smith by being like, he's doing a backhanded deal with the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, he's actually spending that money on other stuff.
Yeah, and you're like, that's not nearly as insidious as the damn deal. Yeah. Like, no matter how you try to slice it, like, you're like, it's still campground for the Boy Scouts. Like, it doesn't really...
It's basically a land dispute. So it's nothing like earth-shattering. It just gives him an excuse to go after something he's passionate about.
Yeah.
And that, everyone has a platform, especially as a politician, you have to have a platform, right? Yeah. And so everyone has a few certain things that they are fighting for. And this was his thing because he is a literal Boy Scout.
Well, and doesn't it all actually boil down to the fact that he believed in and trusted a senator at his word that had worked with his father, right? Like, that's another part of it is that Stewart's father in this has passed away, and his father was this great American, this great patriot, all these things, and knew Senator Payne. Yeah. And so he trusted him at his word. And that honestly, what it all boils down to me, to your point, you're like, it's actually just a land dispute. It's not like people are going to die.
Yeah.
But the whole filibuster, all of this was about the fact that, like, Stewart's character had his heart broken.
Yeah, don't meet your heroes, right?
Don't meet your heroes. Like, he had his heart broken by this guy that he believed in. And the guy is like Payne, at least in the beginning, there's a transformation that happens, but in the beginning, he's like, yeah, I lied. Jesus Christ, grow up, kid.
Yeah.
Like, we all lie.
Politics.
And then the blinders being gone, him being like, wait, you all lie? What the hell's wrong with all of you, right? And that's where he decides, like, no, screw this. Like, if my entire career falls apart, I don't care. This isn't right. And like, there's something beautiful and simple about that.
Yeah. Well, and he goes into the whole bit about love thy neighbor, right?
Yeah.
That's why he's there. You know, he gets up there and he sees all the letters that they bring out, and it's a lot. And
that are
it's
saying,
people telling
go
him
home.
to stand down, like quit doing this.
You're an embarrassment to us.
And you know, you think I'm licked, I'm not licked. You know, it's that whole thing. And then he, you know, he's unshaven and he's desperate and he's tired.
He's hoarse. He can barely talk.
He's hoarse. It's like, you know, and so it's pretty interesting to see him get to that point. And like, this is definitely the climax of the movie, right? Where he passes out over the these letters. And, you know, it was going to happen eventually. And, you know, we do get some cutaways. This is probably, again, like the last 30 minutes. We do get cutaways of people's perception of this, the media's perception of this, and how all the newspapermen are kind of framing this for the public to read, what's actually happening. You know, he has his, I forgot her name, actually I have it written down here, Jean Arthur is she's up in kind of the top part of the Senate floor.
Every time it cuts back to her, the film is so gauzy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were worried that she was starting to get wrinkles or whatever, but God, every time it cuts back to her, I'm like, is it a dream sequence suddenly? Like,
I
why?
didn't notice that.
Oh my God, it's like there's Vaseline all over the lens. It's like, what's a woman? Like, all the rest of it's like pretty crisp, and then it cuts to a woman. And then so she's just like cloudy in the heavens or whatever.
I didn't notice.
I noticed that every time I cut back, I was like, oh God, yeah, we do that.
And she's a major part of this movie, and
completely
is a huge, like, amazing character. It's
although
so
reduced to a real fainting orchid in this last take here, where it's like every time it's like, no, don't do it.
I mean, it was 1939.
I know.
So, yeah,
but
there's going to be some of that.
And there's an amazing moment right before he passes out, where he's reading all of them, and it seems like
it's like quiet for about a minute.
Yeah,
right?
You're like, oh, it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Like obviously we know, because we're outside of it, this has all been staged. Like, A, they're probably not even real. B, even if they are all real letters, it doesn't mean that they all came from Montana. Like, they could come from anywhere. But he's grabbing them fistfuls and looking at them and just kind of like,
he doesn't know what to do with the information, right?
He's getting crestfallen. Yeah. He's like, oh my God, am I the only person here that thinks that this is messed up?
Yeah.
And then there's this beautiful moment. It's still totally silent. There's no music or anything. And he looks up at
it really builds tension, though.
He looks up at the president of the Senate, who he's an interesting character because really, other than hitting his gavel, he hasn't done a whole lot. Like, he's just kind of hanging back.
He'll have a smirk or two. Yeah.
He'll have a smirk or two.
He likes Mr. Smith. He likes his values.
He looks down at him, and he does this like half smile because he's like, and all it could telegraph to me is like, oh, I've seen this before. Mm-hmm. I've seen people try to manipulate this way before. Like, it's like that's what he's telegraphing to him with that smile. Mm-hmm. And that is what makes him go, you think I know? You think I'm licked? I know. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's when he's like, he kind of gets that power back.
I mean, I don't know how you think anyone's licked after 25 hours of doing the same thing.
Oh my God, man.
So,
but it is a great moment. Just that quiet little smile. To me, it's like, because what's funny is, after he does the whole "I'm not licked" thing,
he
passes out, and he's gone. He does not get back up and have victory. That's the end. He's gone. Well, there's a handful of super important things that happen after that.
Absolutely.
But Jimmy Stewart's gone. I'm like, did he get sick or something? Like, he didn't even stand back up. Like, he falls down. They get him water. The little newsy kid's like, everything's okay. Hey, dame, he's going to be fine. Like, she kind of gives the girl up he does that. And then we don't see Jimmy Stewart again. But what happens out in the hallway is the weirdest thing.
Totally. Like, took me, I was like, whoa, they went there?
Yeah. The senator, Senator Payne.
Bain.
No, it's Payne.
Is it?
Yeah. P-A-A-I-N-E. Payne.
Oh, okay.
Senator Payne.
Yeah, it's a wrestler.
Yeah. I'll filibuster your ass. Yeah, this is Senator Payne. Fuck. Sorry. Claude Rains, really known for his like physical prowess. Yeah. What was he? The dad and the Wolf Man? Yeah. Anyway. Sorry.
Senator Payne.
Senator Payne goes out and decides he's going to commit suicide, I guess. Right outside. He just outside he stands up and pieces out and goes out, and then we just hear gunshots, and then people are wrestling a gun away from him, and he comes in. Yeah. And again, that
wasn't shocking though.
Perfect, like 1940 style. He's like, the kid's right. He's right about everything. Put me in the jail cell. I definitely
questioned. I'm like, so it took 25 hours for you to realize that.
And at the 25,
you're like
hours
you
and 1 minute,
drastic measure.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll go kill myself.
Yeah, it was shocking.
Yeah. But I'm thinking of the SpongeBob meme of like, well, I'm out. It's like.
Well, and he gets carried out, and the president kind of just sits back and smiles at the chaos a little bit.
Gets himself again. He pulls off a little piece of gingham and puts it in the corner of his mouth, and he's done for the night. Yeah. Little piece of hardtack. What is it? He gets some. I was like, is he going to smoke a cigar? And instead, no. He gets a little wrapper out, and he goes. He pulls some little hardtack out.
It's an interesting ending, though. Like, I forgot about him going out to kill himself.
Yeah.
And then just that the president kind of was like, just kind of folding his arms and kind of looking at everything.
And we do
crazy.
dissolve to our end credits.
Yeah, and that's the end of the movie. And apparently there was an extra part of this that they filmed with him, like, going and receiving a medal in Montana and all this stuff. And they cut it for some reason. But
I always feel
I kind of like that they ended it the way they did.
I think it's fine. I think it's one of those things where it's like movies from this era, the middle of the movie where all like the red meat is of great acting is what makes you go, God, I can't believe it's this old.
It's true. Bumpers it holds up.
But the bumpers of the beginning and the ends of these movies, you're like, oh yeah, this is an old ass movie because it's like, and you're just like have credits rolling for like 9 minutes, and you're like, oh, this movie's old as fuck, right? Like you can't.
83 years.
Yeah, I mean it's a long time ago. So the very drastic ending of it, I was like, oh right, it's a really old movie.
But I think the fact that it's relevant still is part of the reason this is such an effective scene. And if you Google Mr. Smith Goes to Washington scene, this is the one that comes up
completely.
Is because of what he's saying is true.
Yeah.
And right.
Yeah.
And, again, it's just a land dispute, but it's more the back door side of it, right?
Well, it's about the ethos of the matter, right? It's about that, like, your words should still be... Your words should still be your bond. And, like, when it's not, it's like... that should still feel terrifying and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it is to this guy who is, for all intent and purpose, a Boy Scout. So.
Yeah. Awesome movie.
Yeah, definitely.
It really is.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it, like 83 years sounds old, but like you don't even notice. You're 20 minutes in the movie and you're encapsulated. It's a great movie.
Oh,
yeah. Awesome movie. Thanks so much. Please like and subscribe if you like these scene segments. We also do festivals where right now we're in the end of a Nick Cage festival. We're going to end out with a Weatherman.
We got a bonus.
We got a bonus episode for Forgotten Gems. And if you like what you see, please subscribe and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, you guys.